So the last time we made a video about this guy, it was in a video talking about how it's not looking good for Nikita Zadorov. That was about a week ago, and the scoop in that video essentially was that Nikita Zadorov's ask and what the Canucks would maybe be able to pay him just didn't really align, and that entire video broke down the intricacies of what numbers could be in there, how the Canucks could use their money, and what paying a potential third-pairing guy $5 million could do to a salary cap. Needless to say, that video did have some conversations in the comments. Y'all got involved in talking about Nikita Zadorov and whether or not he was good enough to justify keeping it a higher dollar amount, talked about deployment, talked about line mates, talked about how good he was, the clutch factor, etc., etc. A lot of people like Zadorov, and for good reason. As we had said, he was so good for the Vancouver Canucks in the 2024 playoffs. He was scoring goals like crazy, he was making plays, he was breaking the puck out. This is a guy who, if he plays like that sample that we had seen in the playoffs for 82 games in a regular season, that is totally peak value. But as we all know, as hockey fans, we acknowledge that 82 games is a long freaking time. Over the days, over the months, over the span of a year, it's a lot, and you're not going to be the same every day. You're not going to be the same every game, so there is reason to believe that the Nikita Zadorov that we had seen in that small sample of the playoffs is not the 100% be-all and end-all version of Zadorov. It's like best-case scenario Zadorov, it's just will he be able to get that for 82 games next season, and how much is that really worth? If you're not able to get that version of Zadorov for 82 games, what does the dollar amount go down to? Well, in this video, what I wanted to do is talk more so about the contract length, as well as some extra stuff that was brought up by Zadorov himself. The source here is Ian McIntyre on Sportsnet.ca, the triple threat as they call him. He speaks on the radio, he writes articles, and he does stuff for TV. He went out there and published this yesterday, or 2 days ago, excuse me. It was a very good article. Canucks face difficult decision with Zadorov's looming free agency. IMAC does a good job at just summarizing the tale of the tape here. He talks about the Canucks' changes to their coaching staff. He talks about the Canucks needing to replace Mike Yeo. However, replacing free agents like defenseman Nikita Zadorov will prove far more difficult under the salary cap. IMAC then brings up that because Zadorov was so good in the playoffs, maybe that is where the bulk of his money is going to be made, which, if you wanted to say, is sort of a risk that you have to be willing to accept if you're a team. Yeah, totally. The article then here says he's the kind of player whose high regular season salary may make sense only at playoff time. But at what salary? Of course, that is the root question, unless the question is term. Here are the comments from Nikita Zadorov. For me, the main focus is the term for sure. He told Sportsnet in a one-on-one interview after last week's year-end press conference, "I feel like I can play until I'm 35 or 36 easily on a high level. I think my body can do that. It's not like I'm injury-prone. I feel like I can get to another level of leadership in hockey as well when I know I'm in this team, long-term. It's just going to be easier mentally and physically as well, so I don't have to move my family around." Now pause. Zadorov, I do not know if this guy is capable of being any more of a leader than he already is. He is a really interesting dude. Great interview, good on the microphone, seems to be a fan favorite as much as he is a team locker room favorite. Even Rick Tocchet said that Zadorov will make him laugh in the most serious moments. There's a lot to like here out of Nikita Zadorov, the personality, and him saying that he feels like he can play until he's 35 or 36. If his body is able to keep up and sustain high-level NHL play, then that's honestly the dream in a way, right? A guy who can be just relied upon year in, year out. He's 29 years old right now, so obviously 35 or 36, that's literally half a decade away. But because he wants to focus on term for this contract, you have to start thinking, okay, is it going to be in that 5-6 year range? And when it comes to the reasons as to why he would like that term, he says it's not even just because of being able to mentally place himself on the team as a leader and commit himself to that. He also talks about his family. After criticizing Russian ruler Vladimir Putin and the war in Ukraine during an interview last summer, Zadorov told reporters in Calgary in September that he'll be unable to return to Russia as long as Putin is in power. "I'd be in Siberia the next day," Zadorov said last week. He's a player without a country. His off-season home is in Miami, but he said him and his wife Alexandra and their daughters Sophie and Stephanie loved their 6 months in Vancouver. The family likes the city, the culture, and the Canucks. And yeah, of course, that's not a surprise. I mean, I don't think anybody who has come over to Vancouver, with the exception of Nikita Zadorov, actually disliked the city. Everybody likes it here. Even JT Miller, he's still here, I'm pretty sure. I think his daughter is in school or something like that, which is why he might not have gone home yet. But still, Vancouver is Vancouver for a reason. BBC, as they say it, right? Beautiful British Columbia. And when it comes to the family also liking the environment here, Zadorov says obviously there's a lot of interest in the family stuff, but the main interest is to win the Stanley Cup. This was my 5th playoff run, and I haven't been past the 2nd round. I think for me, it's just to find a team or a home where I have a chance to win a Stanley Cup. That's the main focus for sure, and I believe Vancouver is one of them. Okay, great. There you go, Nikita Zadorov. Look at that. Even when he's not under contract with the team, he is still gassing up the Vancouver Canucks and expressing loyalty to them in a way. That is awesome. Is this not like a perfect situation of a player hyping up the team and the fans eating it all up, saying, yeah, not only is he like a great person to listen to in terms of his interviews, but he also happened to be great in the playoffs? Yeah, man, you know, I said it in the last video, it is such a treat that the Canucks were able to see this version of Nikita Zadorov play in the playoffs, but if you sign him to a big money deal, he'll be a 3rd pairing guy behind Soucy unless you wanted to play him above Soucy or get the minutes distributed evenly. That's a lot of money on the left side. $3 million for Soucy, 7 point whatever for Hughes, add on an extra 5 to 5.5 for Zadorov. Do you want to be shelling out upwards of $15 million on one side of your defense? And that's not even taking into account the extras. That's just 3 guys. It's a lot of money, but then again, you know, it was so good. Either way, when it comes to that contract, this is what the article goes out there and says. DailyFaceoff.com, with the help of AFP Analytics, estimates that Nikita Zadorov's free agent value merits a 5-year contract at $5.3 per season. The Canucks will not want to go that high for a bottom 4 defenseman, but they could pay less in exchange for the 6 or 7-year term that Zadorov desires. How much does he want to stay in Vancouver? If he does stay until he's 35, 36, 37, then that kind of aligns with the comments that he had made earlier, and if it is at a cheaper dollar amount, then I guess it would be a little bit easier to stomach, but then again, you have to make sure, that's the thing, you have to make sure that this guy is going to be worth that money, and that the Zadorov you're getting in the playoffs is the guy that you're bringing back, and that he can play at that level for an 82-game season. Unless, of course, you're kind of okay with the idea of Zadorov maybe returning back to the mean and not really being all too fantastic, but still being passable as an NHL defenseman in the regular season and then elevating his game in the playoffs. That's valuable too. It's just you can use a lot of that money in other ways if you're just trying to bolster it all up on one guy. So it pretty much is a conundrum here. The rest of the article goes out there and talks about the salary cap and how Patrick Allvin will have to navigate that. There's the quote on, "We need to find the next Dakota Joshua," that Allvin ended up saying, but IMAC then goes out there and says that finding the next Zadorov would be extremely difficult. To end off this video, we'll go over 2 more comments from Nikita Zadorov. He believes, as the 103-point Canucks center JT Miller did before signing his 7-year, $56 million extension 2 years ago at age 29, what a sentence, that he is still going to get better. After Game 7, I pretty much didn't sleep that night, Zadorov said after the Canucks got eliminated by the Oilers. I had so many thoughts in my head, a lot of anger. Anger makes you obsessed with winning. You have a goal, you have a dream, and you see it. It's close. It's right there. Like, I mean, we're human beings, but you don't even think about your life during the playoffs. It makes you obsessed and your mindset is totally different. So when one day you lose Game 7 and everything drops, it feels like you have no purpose. But that anger makes you stronger, and I feel like it makes me more motivated right now to stay here, or find a different fit if it doesn't work out, and then put everything into it. Put all my soul and all my energy and everything into trying to win the Stanley Cup. And of course, that's a great attitude. He even does say, yeah, here, Vancouver, or somewhere else if it doesn't work out. It's very upfront, you know, I like that a lot. So Nikita Zadorov just had this great interview, and it was published by Sportsnet via Ian McIntyre. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to go ahead and read the extra parts of this article, because there is a lot more talking about the Canucks and their salary cap, but I just wanted to go out there and read the Zadorov quotes because these were pretty good comments. Thoughts in the comment section as to the Nikita Zadorov situation in Vancouver. I hope you enjoyed this video. and bye.